And Fox 29, following developing news, the first day on a new route takes a deadly turn. An Amtrak train derails just outside of Seattle, leaving cars dangling off an overpass, others resting on a highway.
Live from Center City in Philadelphia, this is Fox 29 News at 6.
And we begin at 6 with that developing news, the deadly train derailment in Washington state. It was supposed to offer people a faster way to get around, but instead, an Amtrak train's first trip on a new route turned deadly. Train cars left dangling over an interstate. Others crashed into traffic. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Lucy Noland.
I'm Chris O'Connell in for Ian Page. Let's get right to what we know about today's deadly derailment. 78 passengers and 5 crew members on board when the train hurtled off the overpass about 17 miles south of Tacoma, Washington, late this morning. That train, on its way to Portland, was going more than 80 miles an hour when it flew off the tracks, some cars landing on traffic below. Several people were on the ground were hurt. One official telling the Associated Press that train may have hit something before going off the tracks. It was making its very first journey on that new route at that speed. Fox 29's Joyce Evans live in our operations center tonight with the very latest on this story. Joyce?
Well, Chris, those millions of dollars were spent to give passenger trains their own tracks, free from a lot of curves, those tunnels, and those slow-moving freight trains. And the passengers were really looking forward to that. What they got, though, was a nightmare.
It was obvious that there were some fatalities and there were a lot of injuries, and some people were able to get off the train.
Those people taken away in ambulances or standing wrapped in blankets along the road, about 40 miles from the Seattle Amtrak station, where they boarded the very first run of a faster new route.
Multiple cars and trucks were struck by train cars that left the train tracks and went down onto the road.
It's a terrible thing. Very upsetting.
Even though when you see the pictures, it's pretty horrific. At this point, nobody in any of the vehicles is a fatal. The fatals are all contained to the train.
But train cars and passengers, vehicles and motorists were tossed everywhere.
What you're seeing is what it is, and on the other side of that bridge, there's 3 or 4 more cars that are upside down on the road and in the woods.
Early information clocked Amtrak train number 501 traveling more than 80 miles an hour when it derailed at the DuPont overpass, carrying 78 passengers and 5 crew members. NTSB officials say their investigators will have to determine if speed was even a factor, since the new route was supposed to be faster.
I'm just wondering if they did any dry runs on this before the passengers aboard.
Well, the NTSB investigators will be looking at all possibilities: human error, mechanical malfunction, and yes, something obstructing the tracks when they arrive on scene. Chris.
All right, Joyce, thanks. Of course, Philadelphia, no stranger to deadly train crashes. It was 2 years ago when an Amtrak train going twice the posted speed derailed in Port Richmond, killing 8 passengers. 159 others suffered injuries in the May 2015 crash. Pennsylvania Attorney General Josh Shapiro had charged the conductor with involuntary manslaughter, but a Philadelphia judge later threw out those charges. And of course, stay with us as we continue to track this developing story. And remember, be there the first to know about breaking news. Just download the Fox 29 app and make sure to allow notifications.
Happening right now, Pennsylvania State Senator Dalen Leach says he is not resigning after former staffers have accused him of harassment and sexual misconduct. Governor Wolf is calling for Leach to step down, but Leach denies any wrongdoing. Fox 29's Jeff Cole spoke to the governor live now at City Hall. Jeff.
Lucy, State Senator Dalen Leach is moving away from a tougher stance he took Sunday against his accusers. He now says he's heartbroken that he felt made anybody feel uncomfortable, but still the top Democrat in the Commonwealth wants him gone. Senator Dalen Leach appears tonight to be trying to hang on to his state Senate seat a day after the Inquirer's bombshell report. In a bold headline, the paper reported Leach spoke in highly sexualized terms around young female staffers and touched some in ways they found inappropriate.
Why so quickly to call for Leach to resign in light of this report? I want to be consistent.
Governor Wolf, a fellow Democrat, called on Leach to quit within hours of the story being published in Philadelphia Monday to veto a bill restricting abortion. Wolf admitted he hadn't talked to Leach, but wanted him out.
He says it did not happen. He said he was in a crowded room. It simply did not happen. Yet you've called for him to quit. Is that not premature? Does he not deserve a fuller investigation?
I don't think what I said was premature.
The Inquirer quoted former staffers who claimed they'd witnessed or been subject to inappropriate talk and touching. In an afternoon posting on Facebook, the Montgomery County State Senator wrote, "It's heartbreaking to me that I have put someone in a position that made them feel uncomfortable or disrespected. In the future, I will take more care of my words and my actions." There was no answer at Leach's door Monday. On Facebook, he complained of reporters coming to his home and said he was taking a step back from his campaign for Congress.
People come forward with credible evidence that he's acted inappropriately. I think we need to, all of us in public life, need to say that's not who we are, and we can't have that kind of behavior.
Now, a source tells Fox 29 tonight that Leach is not, absolutely not dropping out in that race for Congress in the 7th District, only taking a break for the holiday and then taking a look at the race now. Meanwhile, the state Senate Democratic leader says he wants specifics about the allegations against Leach and then says that he will take appropriate action. Live at City Hall, I'm Jeff Cole, Fox 29 News. Folks.
Thanks, Jeff. As Jeff mentioned, Governor Tom Wolf in Philadelphia today, here to veto a bill that would have limited abortions to the first 20 weeks of pregnancy in the state of Pennsylvania. The state's current limit is 24 weeks. A 20-week limit would have kept in place exemptions under current law for when a mother's life or well-being is at risk. The bill had no exceptions for rape, incest, or fetal abnormalities.
This legislation is a disingenuous and bald-faced attempt to pass the most extreme anti-choice legislation in the country. This legislation is an attempt to criminalize the decisions that women must be allowed to make about their own health care.
In a bipartisan vote last week, the Pennsylvania House passed the bill by a 121-70 margin. All right, check in with your Fox 29 weather authority now. Let's take a live look in Wilmington. There is some good news on the horizon. That is, if you like a warm-up. Kathy Orr has a quick check of our forecast. Hi, Kathy.
Well, good evening. Good evening, everyone. We're talking about temperatures that are pretty mild today in the 50s. And as you can see in the mountains, Blue Mountain looking pretty good. The skiers are loving it. It's cold enough to be snowy, and it's also cold enough to be comfortable. Look at this, 37 degrees in Poconos, 44 in Allentown and Pottstown, 47 in Philadelphia, and 48 in Wilmington. Philly, we made it to a high of 50 degrees today. Now, as we look overnight, low temperatures around 40 in the city, 30s elsewhere, so everyone above freezing. That's the good news. But a huge pattern change as we see a lot of warmth building up the coastal plain, not just 40s or 50s, but how about 60s? And that's going to be going into the holiday weekend. We'll talk about your Christmas forecast coming up in just a few minutes. I'll see you back here with a 7-day.
All right, sounds good. Thank you much, Kathy. So a South Philadelphia woman says she has had enough. No more elaborate holiday decorations outside her home. 3 times in the past 26 months, thieves have stripped holiday displays from her front steps. And our Bruce Gordon's live at police headquarters. Bruce, this just breaks my heart. This latest burglary happened right in front of an array of security cameras.
Yeah, Lucy, smile while you're swiping that hand-decorated Christmas tree. The victim in our story is full of holiday spirit, always has been, but now she says enough is enough. Josephine Machetti's granddaughter Gia is all smiles on this week before Christmas, but Grandma, well, she's got the holiday blues.
I just was so upset. Couldn't believe it. That they would take everything. It was bare.
Around 5 a.m. on the Saturday before last, a pair of decoration-stealing deadbeats hit Machetti's home on the 1100 block of Fitzgerald in South Philly. As a lookout kept watch, this thief set to work stealing her expensive, handmade holiday display. It wasn't easy. This tree was among several pieces wired in place along with the decorative presents below. Not to be deterred, the crook pulls out a pair of wire cutters and makes off with the tree. Then, like the infamous Grinch, he snips his way through the rest of the decorations, even using the next-door neighbor's stoop to get a better angle on a window-mounted topiary.
Things in the window were wired in the house. So he really took his time to find the wire. I had the wires like hidden outside. You know, they found a way to cut them.
Back in 2015, thieves stole Josephine's outdoor Halloween decorations, then followed up by taking her outdoor Christmas display.
Well, I didn't put a lot out 2016. This year I went out, did everything. They took it all.
This time, an array of security cameras right across the street captured all of the action, and there was plenty of it. The thieves were out in front of Machete's home for 3 minutes, making sure they got everything they came for.
They certainly knew what they were doing, and while they did take their time, they were pretty efficient with their getaway.
After the burglary, Josephine grabbed a snowman from her basement, set him out as a last-ditch display of holiday spirit. She says she will not be victimized a fourth time.
Next year I will not do anything.
No more decorations?
No. Not for someone just to come along and take them. Terrible.
You know, it's interesting. Burglaries of homes and businesses in Philadelphia are down something like 45% since 2011, likely in part because of all those security cameras in place. Still, some crooks seem not to know or frankly care that their every move is being watched. Chris.
All right, Bruce, thanks. Is a new puppy on your holiday list? Well, listen up. You may not get what you paid for, an online trick that could leave you empty-handed this holiday. Kristen.
Oh, that's really sad, Chris. The Eagles are getting closer and closer to their end goal. But how does Doug Peterson handle resting his guys before the playoffs? Hear from him ahead in sports.